And welcome back to Who Would Win? Last week Who Would Win, although we'll have one tomorrow because that's just when I normally do it. And this one comes to us from Johnny Cage. And you asked the question, who would win in a fight? Mephisto from the Marvel Universe versus Trigon from the DC Universe. Both are interdimensional demons. Both are very powerful in their own right. But who would win in the fight? Now, let's quickly address one of the big thing that I know a lot of people are going to try to argue in the comments below, because they started to argue that when the movie came out in my Trigon versus Darkseid video. The Justice League Apocalypse War movie, I haven't seen the movie in its entirety. I've seen a lot of the clips. I've seen the fight with Darkseid and Trigon. It's fun. It's cool. I like it. That's not a good ground for who would win. Or that's not a good argument or ground of argument for who would win. The reason for that is, yes, they are adapted from comic lore. But unless you're using just that movie as the prime example of how strong Trigon is versus Darkseid, it's a non-canon movie is the problem. It's not the actual history of that character. It's the history of that character, those characters within the animated universe they created. But if you're talking about the comics and everything along those lines, that isn't what they're representing there. Because if that were the case, we would be talking about how Darkseid that's not really Darkseid. That's just the avatar that Darkseid has in the physical world. Yes, that it's still bound by the physical law of that body, but in the physical limitations of that body, so that body can be killed. But they never address the fact that Darkseid is actually, maybe they'll do that in later movies or something like that. But they never address the fact that Darkseid exists within a completely separate dimension. If Darkseid's real body ever entered our universe, it would destroy the universe just by existing. So it's and by the way, people say, "Oh yeah, well, nope, looks like Trigon won. He kicked Darkseid's ass." I'm like, did you actually watch both their fights? The version where he possessed Superman and fought Darkseid, and the version where he just fought Darkseid. The version he fought Darkseid, there was no clear winner. He just prevented either of them from escaping and supposedly being annihilated, whatever happened. B, the fight with the Trigon possessed Superman versus Darkseid. He was possessing Superman, someone who already can go toe-to-toe with Darkseid. So by augmenting his powers, that's not a good grade. And B, he didn't actually win that fight. He was winning that fight, but he didn't actually win that fight. Ultimately, Superman basically purged Trigon from him, and Darkseid actually sealed up Trigon. Darkseid technically won that fight the minute that Trigon got out of Superman's body, and he basically trapped him in a containment sphere. So just want to get that out of the equation right now. Is like, don't look towards the animated version of Trigon from Justice League War, even though I am using actually I was going to use them in the thumbnail, but I didn't. To be the de facto explanation of Trigon's abilities. That being said, now that we've gotten that out of the way after about 3 minutes, let's get into this. Mephisto essentially is the devil. Mephisto from Marvel is more or less the devil in the Marvel universe. Now, again, he is an interdimensional demon who feeds off particularly the evils of human greed, believes in the single absolute evil. He is, in essence, the devil. And his abilities are vast. Like, he's duked it out with a Galactus before, gone toe-to-toe with Galactus. Gone toe-to-toe with Zarathos. Zarathos, I think his name is. Basically the true Ghost Rider, if you will. The actual spirit itself. He's a multiversal demon. He is. He possesses some degree. Now, here's a weird thing. He possesses superhuman strength, but it's really only to the god tier when he augments it with his magical strength, which he does have to God knows various degrees, including superhuman speed, stamina, durability. He can be injured, but he has a regenerating healing factor, but he can be injured and destroyed by certain means and methods. As a demon, he's functionally immortal, immune to aging and disease. He doesn't need food, water, or oxygen. He has magical manipulation, able to control various magical energies, including, but not limited to, physical strength, augmentation, levitation, teleportation, projection of mystical energies, such as force blast, invisibility, matter manipulation, image projection, size transformation of his body or other objects, and the creation of a temporary interdimensional apertures, and so on. Shape-shifting, he can just change his form if he wishes. And snare astral bodies, he can possess certain powers. He also possesses certain powers that enable him to capture and detain astral bodies, sheaths of the soul, if you will, of recently deceased human beings. That wouldn't work on someone like Trigon because he's a demon, even if he had an astral form, which he does, technically. Dimensional entrapment. Apparently, Mephisto can entrap living human beings within his own realm. Again, wouldn't matter on against Trigon. Netherworld dimensional power tapping. Among the demons of various extra-dimensional netherworlds adjacent to Earth, Mephisto has few rivals in terms of personal power and scope of influence, although Satanish has stalemated him in battle. I don't know who that is. I'll have to look that up. Essentially, the actual Satan, I guess. And Mephisto's power seems to be connected to his extra-dimensional domain, diminishes over time spent away from it. Therefore, he usually spends demonic agents to do his bidding. He does have some level of reality manipulation. He was able to create realities, Earth 7161 and Earth 71241, by creating a small alteration in 616 reality. As part of the deal with Peter Parker and Mary Jane, one of the least liked Spider-Man storylines, Mephisto wove the 81545 reality. In that reality, by the way, basically the deal with Mephisto, he saved Aunt May at the cost of them never marrying again, but they eventually worked around that. In both those other alternate realities, Spider-Man was never bitten by a spider, so he either became a computer programmer who became a fat gamer, basically. I saw a little bit of that, or became a wealthy businessman. He's also got he's also immune to the pen stare. In fact, it actually strengthens him, but that wouldn't work here. And medium awareness possesses an unknown degree of medium awareness, able to pause a battle between himself, Doctor Strange, and Victor Von Doom, to monologue to the reader in the comic, which means he's somewhat fourth wall aware, but not quite. Mephisto is also an experienced and highly skilled liar strategist and a highly skilled sorcerer near infinite knowledge of arcane occult subjects. However, he has a large degree of weaknesses. Despite his immense power, he does have several significant limitations. He's unable to force subjugation of any sentient being's will to his own without the being wanting to submit. Likewise, he cannot make the same kind of pact with the same person he has done before. Basically, he can't make the same pact twice with the same person. Moreover, Mephisto's reality manipulation does not seem to completely permanent, as some changed aspects of the life of Peter Parker and Mary Jane were undone. He is incapable of reading thoughts of other sentient beings, which means he can't read Trigon's thoughts, so that's out of the equation. Mephisto's power also linked to his extra-dimensional realm, and his powers rapidly decrease the longer he's away from him. So, if this fight takes place on neutral territory, it's going to be a big thing. As a result, he typically uses or manipulates others to perform whatever plan he has in mind. Also, despite continually trying to get any noble soul to his realm into possession, he must need to corrupt them first, or otherwise himself will be ironically injured in the process. Meaning, if he's able to try to steal a soul that's noble and he's unable to corrupt it, well, then he's going to get hurt because of that for some reason. This has been proven in the case with Thor and Cynthia in the past. I don't know who Cynthia is. Indeed, the reason why Mephisto undid Peter Parker's marriage with Mary Jane Watson rather than taking their souls was that, in his own words, their willingness to sacrifice themselves for another person would automatically redeem them. Meaning, just by doing what they did, they won ultimately, and he got screwed over. It doesn't really have any equipment or anything like that, though he did once have a crystal that held Zarathos in there. But that's about it. He did have some former equipment like the Time Gem. He was in possession of the Time Gem. Okay, it was the Infinity Stones, the Time Stone. And he can travel interdimensionally through using his powers. So yes, Mephisto is a very powerful individual, and at his peak of power could go toe-to-toe with someone like Galactus. However, should note that looking at his actual fighting skills, he's not much better than, say, a brawler. He is a sorcerer, he's a demon, but he's not a physical fighter. Trigon is the interdimensional demon father of Raven, and he is an enemy, not only an enemy of the Teen Titans, but he has been an enemy of many people. Trigon was originally the ruler of an unknown alien planet. He's actually eventually 3 powerful aliens known as divines came to his planet in an effort to cleanse his soul of evil. The divine summoned the great heart of darkness to feast on his soul. However, Trigon was able to absorb the power of the heart of darkness, which contained the evil of 100 galaxies. So essentially, Trigon was nowhere near as bad as he is now, and these idiots decided, oh, no, we're going to make you better. And he was so evil back then already that he absorbed the evil of 1,000 galaxies. So essentially, these morons made Trigon who he is now. Oh my god. Excuse me, it was 100 galaxies. Oh my god. You dumbasses. He killed the divine, who were revealed to actually be his parents. So he's actually technically a demon, but he's actually an alien demon, is what he is. He's an alien. He's a weird hybrid. Divine revealed his parents before shredding them of their flesh and wearing their skin. Lovely. Unable to cross the divine's barrier, Trigon would summon women from other worlds to mate with them and impregnate them and send them back, spreading his evil to destroy the countless universes. So, yeah, he's got a messed up demon physiology. After merging with the heart of darkness, he absorbed the collected evil from nearly 100 galaxies, which is trillions upon quadrillions upon quintillions of life, transforming him into one of the most powerful beings in the universe. He is capable of also dimensional travel, although he's a bit limited. Creating a master illusion creation, immortality, he doesn't need food or water or anything like that. He has stayed in his existence since the dawn of time before the Big Bang. That makes him at least 13.7 billion years old. He still hasn't aged past his prime. Invulnerability, he is nigh unaffected by all forms of conventional bodily harm. He's completely unaffected by punches from Superboy and Wonder Girl, both of whom are on the higher end of the super strength scale, as well as the light, but no, nowhere near the top bar, I should say, as well as the light constructs of Bunker. Who the hell is Bunker? I'm going to assume it's a lantern of some kind. Miguel Barga. That is okay. No, he's not a lantern. He just can create energy. Okay, that's odd because like I got this guy. He's creating energy constructs that look almost like a purple lantern. I'm like, okay, so he's an indigo lantern? No, it's just he just creates energy constructs. Okay, that's cool. That was a character I never knew anything about. That's kind of cool. I assume he's also been a villain. I'm assuming he's like a solid main villain of probably the Lanterns. Anyway, Superboy expressed that hitting Trigon felt like as effective as trying to destroy a mountain with a teaspoon. However, Trigon's skin has been pierced by the unique razor glider of Red Robin. The unique razor glider, I don't see what's unique about it unless it's what's it made of? Forged Destiny. Upon branching out from the bat flame to forge his own destiny, Tim Drake declared a glider capable of. That's interesting. It's not really saying what. I mean, it's like specialized fabric, and I'm sure there's metal in there, but skin was pierced by that. That's unique. So Trigon seems to be more susceptible to cutting attacks than he is blunt force attacks. At least that's what I'm getting from that, which is odd. It could have just been lazy writing, too. I'm going to go on more on that side of the fence. Metamorphosis, he's able to alter his appearance at will, able to disguise himself as human form. He can generate a large amount of hands within his palms to extend to reach. Molecular reconstruction. Trigon can manipulate matter on a molecular level, capable of using his powers to disintegrate the 3 divine to restructure their flesh into a cloth that he wears. And disintegration. He can just, basically through molecular manipulation, he can disintegrate individuals. Mind control. Trigon can possess anyone he feels necessary for his plot. He can control hundreds of people, and the most powerful of champions during his battle with Teen Titans, he was able to possess the majority of the members. Pyrokinesis, he can manipulate and create hellfire. He can also shoot it from his mouth. We know he can shoot energy beams from his eyes as well. Summoning, he summons women to mate with. Superhuman reflexes, strength, telekinesis. He can move artificial objects such as light constructs of Bunker. He was able to effortlessly fling Superboy aside with just casual thought. Telepathy, he can gaze in the minds of mortals, but obviously Mephisto is not immortal, so that probably won't work here. Just like when to reference the Darkseid Trigon fight a little bit from the movie, he never tried to go into Darkseid's head because he knew that'd be a fruitless effort because he is a new god, so at least power-wise he knew he couldn't dominate him or anything like that. If these two were to meet in a fight, who would ultimately win? Well, A, you've got to look at their personalities, and B, we got to look at it on a neutral ground, and then we'll take a quick look at if they fought each other within their respective dimensions. One is a conqueror of worlds. One just is kind of more of a manipulator and just wanting to steal souls a little bit. So right off the bat, one has greater ambition than the other. But one is more content with what he does than the other. If Mephisto's more content with what he does. He's not trying to take over the world or universe. He's just, I want souls. Give me souls. Give me souls. Soul. Give me this soul. It's a good soul. Let me corrupt it. That's all he's really wanting. He wants to make deals. He's the devil, basically. Whereas Trigon, no, he's a conqueror. He wants to take over the universe. And, have babies. Hey, I'm stuck here. Might as well get some. Good for him. But, so, right off the bat, from a motivation perspective, it would seem like Trigon is the more dangerous individual because he's more content. But just because he's more ambitious. But just because he's more ambitious doesn't necessarily make him more dangerous. Mephisto being content, but being a skilled deceiver and making deals, could aid him. The problem is, you have demon to demon, so there's no real fight no real bargain that could be made, unless they agree to team up, which is entirely possible. But if these two actually met on a neutral playing field, who would win the fight? Well, both these guys can alter their size, so it's not going to matter what their sizes are. Power-wise, Trigon, I think, has a lot more firepower, so he's probably going to be firing off more like pyrokinesis, telekinesis, and more than likely whipping Mephisto around a little bit. Now, Mephisto certainly has a lot of magical manipulation abilities that can certainly counter him. In fact, honestly, they both have a relatively similar power set, including matter manipulation is the big one that they both have. The problem here, in just this neutral ground fight, is that we know Mephisto loses his power quickly the longer he's away from his dimension, and there's no way that Trigon is just gonna let him just kind of piss off. It's like, okay, I'm leaving. No, Trigon's like, oh no, he's a competitor. No, he dies. So Mephisto, quite frankly, even though both these guys are functionally immortal, it's more that he's immune to aging and not dying by natural causes. And he has a regenerative healing factor and a physiology that prevents him from taking any severe enough damage that would actually kill him. Unfortunately, Trigon will be one of those individuals who would be able to deal enough severe damage to kill him. Particularly just enveloping him in hellfire as he weakens further and further. Honestly, stealing his energy, stealing his soul, whatever. Trigon would probably be able to do so because he isn't limited by his dimension in terms of his power. He can be at full power if he's out of his own realm. So, whereas Mephisto's full power is very fleeting once he spends a certain amount of time outside his own realm. So, that would be a battle of attrition for the longest time, and ultimately in a battle of attrition outside in a neutral playing field, Trigon's the winner. If we give Trigon, and if we go on Trigon's turf, then Trigon also wins. But the question now, the big one here, is obviously 2 out of 3 fights Trigon wins, so my ultimate winner is Trigon. But let's next ask the question, and finally ask the question. If we have Mephisto in his own realm, at full power, without the risk of losing his power, can Trigon defeat him there? Now, to set up that fight, obviously they're both extra-dimensional demons. Pocket opens up in their universe. Trigon ends up dimension hopping here into Mephisto's realm. What happens there? Well, what happens there is they'll both be going toe to toe. The problem is that Mephisto is at full power, and he can stay at full power. So the question here is, do both of these guys have enough differences in their abilities for one to have a supreme advantage over the other? And right off the bat, Trigon is a better fighter. Like, physically, like an actual fighting, in terms of actual martial combat, he's a better fighter than Mephisto. So if this somehow lines up with them both just augmenting their strength, all that, then Trigon has the edge in an actual hand-to-hand brawl. The problem here comes forth in the sense that it's not going to come to that problem. I mean, they'll probably duke it out a little bit, but the question here is going to be, can they ultimately, and what's the best way to put it, one up the other? If we look at the wide range of abilities that Mephisto actually has, enhancing his own physical ability to go toe-to-toe with Galactus, who Galactus versus Trigon I think would be a much more interesting fight, and a much more even kill fight, quite frankly. He has a healing factor, but quite frankly, Trigon is someone who could probably tax the healing factor. Immortality won't matter here. It's really going to come down to who's the better at their own manipulation abilities. And honestly, and this is the weird thing here, it actually, I think, is going towards Mephisto because, well, Trigon has a lot of physical abilities, and he basically has a similar repertoire of abilities to Mephisto. They're not classified as magical abilities that can do this, 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 and this. He just has this, 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 and this. Whereas Mephisto is just a magician, basically like Doctor Strange, except stronger at his peak, who can already do teleportation, levitation, mystical energy, force blast, invisibility, matter manipulation, image projection, basically all the things that Trigon can do, size transformation, and temporal interdimensional apertures, a creation of those, and so on. His magical limitations are only really limited to what his imagination is, whereas Trigon, well, he certainly does have some demonic abilities that would be deemed magic, technically speaking. He does not have the same near limitless repertoire that actual spell casting would allow. So as weird as it is, well, I like Trigon, frankly, better, because he is just a cooler, more badass villain. In his own dimension, without the limitations of, losing his energy, Mephisto, quite frankly, would be the stronger individual because he just has more capabilities. Truth be told, they're both really similar in what they're capable of doing. It's just that Mephisto, his stem from more sorcery than the physiological abilities or just the demon-esque abilities that Trigon already has. They're not so much magical as they're just part of his biology and DNA in some ways. Whereas Mephisto, being a magician, being a sorcerer, having arcane abilities means he has less of a limitation on what he can do ultimately. And he can already do everything that Trigon essentially can. It's just within his own realm, he's not going to tire out, whereas Trigon eventually could tire out. Granted, both their staminas would be ridiculous. It would take probably like millions, if not billions of years for that to happen. But essentially, one could tire the other out. In his own dimension, he's not going to get tired out. So ultimately, it's Trigon, I think, who wins the majority of the fight. The 2 out of 3 of these fights, Trigon wins. But in that 1/3 fight where it's in Mephisto's own dimension, Mephisto's the one who takes the win. Ultimately, though, that's just my thoughts on this. What do you think? You think it's Mephisto? You think it's the devil himself from Marvel? Or do you think it's Trigon, the father of Raven and the conqueror of worlds? Let me know in the comments below. But thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Like, comment, share, subscribe. As always, you want us to review something, put in the comments below. Let us know. We'll do a review of it at some point. I'll be back with a worst to best video. I didn't get to it last week. Holding off on it. Finally getting to it. Looking forward to this one. So thanks for watching. See you later, folks.